I didn't eat for 72 hours, and what happened to my body had absolutely nothing to do with willpower. I know that sounds dramatic. I know you've probably seen 100 thumbnails just like this one. Guy stops eating, loses weight, acts surprised. But I need you to stick with me here because this is not that video. What happened inside my body over those 3 days changed everything I thought I knew about fat loss, energy, aging, and why most people are stuck no matter how hard they try. Everyone told me I'd lose muscle. My friends said I'd crash my metabolism. My coworker literally sent me an article titled, "Why Fasting is Dangerous," while I was on hour 20. And honestly, for the first day and a half, I thought they might be right. I felt terrible, weak, foggy, irritable. I almost quit twice. But then the blood work came back, and every single person who warned me went quiet. Because the numbers didn't just improve. They improved in ways that should have taken months of dieting, in 72 hours. See, the 9 pounds I lost wasn't the interesting part. Not even close. What was interesting, what genuinely shook me, is what my body started doing at hour 36. Something flipped. Something most doctors never mention because it doesn't fit neatly into the eat less, move more model they were trained on. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that switch is, why your body has been locked out of its own fat-burning system, and why short-term hunger might be the single most powerful tool standing between you and the body you actually want. Let's get into it. Here's the thing, nobody tells you about fat loss. And I mean truly tells you, not the recycled advice you've heard 1,000 times. You've been told it's calories in, calories out. Eat less, move more, create a deficit, track your macros. And on paper, that's technically true. Thermodynamics is real. But here's the problem. That model completely ignores the hormonal environment your body is operating in. It treats your body like a calculator when it's actually more like a chemistry lab. You can be in a caloric deficit, eating 1,500 calories a day, exercising 5 times a week, and still have your body clinging to fat like it's preparing for a famine. And the frustrating part, in a way, it thinks it is. Your biology doesn't know you're trying to look good for summer. It thinks food is becoming scarce, so it holds on tighter. But here's the real kicker, the part that changes everything. What most people think is the problem, they're eating too much. What actually is the problem, they're eating too often. And those two things sound similar, but they are wildly fundamentally different. Your body doesn't just respond to how much fuel comes in. It responds to how frequently the signal arrives. Every single time you eat, whether it's a full meal or a handful of almonds or a splash of cream in your coffee, your body gets a signal, and that signal has a name: insulin. Insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone, it's a storage hormone. When insulin is present, your body is in accumulation mode. It's building, it's storing, it's putting things away, and it physically cannot switch into fat-burning mode while that signal is active. Here's a fact that will bother you. A study from the National Institutes of Health took 2 groups of people, same total calories, identical macros. One group ate those calories split into 6 small meals throughout the day. The other group ate the same food, condensed into 2 meals. The 6-meal group had significantly higher baseline insulin levels throughout the entire day. Their bodies were essentially locked in storage mode from morning to night. Same food, same calories, completely different metabolic result. And here's the part that should make you angry. The eat every 2 to 3 hours to boost your metabolism advice, the one that every fitness magazine pushed for decades, was popularized by the supplement industry in the early 2000s. Why? Because it sold more protein bars, more meal replacement shakes, more snack products. There is no peer-reviewed evidence that eating more frequently increases your metabolic rate. None. Zero. It was marketing dressed up as science, and it rewired an entire generation's relationship with food. So, with that foundation in place, let me tell you what actually happened when I stopped sending that signal for 72 straight hours. Here's insight number 1, and it's the foundation for everything that follows. Your body exists in one of 2 states at any given moment: storing or burning. Think of it like a light switch. When insulin is elevated, the switch is flipped to storage. When insulin is low, the switch flips to burning. There is no dimmer. There is no in-between. You cannot burn stored body fat while insulin is elevated. It is biologically, chemically, physically impossible. It's like trying to withdraw money from an ATM that's been bricked. The money is in there. Your body knows it's in there, but the system will not release it. This is why a 72-hour fast is a completely different metabolic experience from just skipping breakfast or doing a casual intermittent fasting window. In the first 12 to 16 hours of not eating, your body burns through its glycogen. That's the sugar stored in your liver and muscles. About 1,500 to 2,000 calories worth of quick-access energy. Fine. That's what most intermittent fasters experience. You feel a little hungry, your body taps glycogen, and you move on. But something shifts after that. Once glycogen is meaningfully depleted, your insulin levels don't just drop a little, they drop dramatically. And for the first time in possibly months, maybe years if you've been snacking consistently, your body gets unrestricted access to your stored fat. Not partial access. Not the trickle of fat burning you get on a standard diet. Full, unimpeded, direct access. The ATM is back online. This is the state that most people walking around have never actually entered, even if they think they're eating healthy. Even if they're in a caloric deficit. Because if they're eating every few hours, insulin never drops low enough to fully unlock that door. Now here's where it gets genuinely interesting, and I have to be transparent. This is the part I was not expecting at all. Around hour 36, I hit a wall, a real wall, not just hunger. I had gotten used to the hunger by that point. This was different. Brain fog, so thick I couldn't follow a conversation. Irritability that came out of nowhere. My energy didn't just dip, it cratered. I was lying on my couch, genuinely considering ordering a pizza and calling the whole thing off. And then, almost like someone flipped a switch inside my skull, it passed. Not gradually, almost suddenly. Within about 2 hours, I went from the worst I'd felt all week to the sharpest I'd felt in months. Not just okay, not just functional, unusually, almost suspiciously clear. Like someone had cleaned a windshield I didn't know was dirty. So what happened? What happened is a process called ketogenesis going into full gear. When your glycogen is gone and your body fully commits to burning fat, your liver starts converting fatty acids into molecules called ketone bodies. The primary one is beta-hydroxybutyrate, BHB for short. And here's the thing about BHB that most keto influencers completely gloss over, because they're too busy selling exogenous ketone supplements. BHB doesn't just fuel your brain as a glucose replacement. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, which very few molecules can do, and it acts as a signaling molecule. It literally changes gene expression. One of the things it activates is BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as miracle grow for your neurons. It promotes the growth of new neural connections, protects existing ones, and enhances synaptic plasticity, which is a fancy way of saying it makes your brain work better at learning and processing information. This is why so many people who do extended fasts report that strange, almost eerie mental clarity. It's not placebo. It's not just feeling good about yourself. It's a measurable neurochemical shift. Your brain is literally running on a different, more efficient fuel source. Think of it this way. Glucose is like burning wood. It works. It produces heat. But it's messy. Lots of metabolic byproducts. Lots of oxidative stress. Inconsistent energy output. Ketones are like natural gas. Steady, clean, efficient. Less waste. More output per unit. And here's the question that should bother you. If ketones are so effective, why does the body default to glucose? The answer is simple and slightly depressing. Evolution optimized for survival, not performance. Glucose is easier to access. It's the fast food of brain fuel. Carbs are everywhere in nature. Fruits, tubers, grains, and your body evolved to grab the easy energy first. It's not choosing glucose because it's better. It's choosing glucose because it's cheaper. Your body is cutting corners, and it's been doing it your entire life. All right, let's talk about the 9 pounds, because I need to be completely honest with you, and this is where most "I lost X pounds in Y days" videos fall apart. This is where creators lose credibility and viewers get misled. I did not lose 9 pounds of fat in 72 hours. That is physically, thermodynamically impossible. To lose 9 pounds of pure fat, you'd need a deficit of roughly 31,500 calories in 3 days. Even if my metabolism were running at maximum capacity with zero food intake, that math doesn't come close. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying to you or doesn't understand basic energy balance. Here's the real breakdown of what those 9 pounds actually were. Roughly 2 to 3 pounds was genuine fat tissue, which, by the way, is still remarkable for 3 days. Most aggressive diet protocols aim for 1 to 2 pounds of fat loss per week. About 3 to 4 pounds was water weight. When you deplete glycogen, you release the water molecules that are chemically bonded to it. Each gram of glycogen holds approximately 3 grams of water. So when 400 to 500 grams of glycogen disappears, over a kilogram of water goes with it. And the remaining 2 to 3 pounds? Gut content, the physical weight of food moving through your digestive system, and a measurable reduction in systemic inflammation, which causes fluid retention throughout your body. Now, if you stopped there, you might think, so what? Most of the weight comes back when you eat again. The glycogen refills, the water returns, the gut fills back up, and you'd be right. Most of that 9 pounds did come back within 5 days of eating normally again. But here's what matters, and this is what the blood work revealed. This is the part that made me sit up straight in my doctor's office. My fasting insulin dropped 40%. Not a marginal improvement, a dramatic, clinically significant shift. My CRP, C-reactive protein, one of the most reliable markers of systemic inflammation, cut nearly in half. My triglycerides dropped by a visible margin. My fasting glucose normalized to a level I hadn't seen in years. In 72 hours, not 72 days, not 72 weeks of dieting, 3 days. The weight loss was a side effect. An interesting footnote. The metabolic reset, the hormonal recalibration, that was the real event. That was the headline. And that's what nobody talks about because it doesn't make a good thumbnail. And this is the part I need you to really hear. Because what I just described, the chronically elevated insulin from eating every few hours, the constant low-grade inflammatory state from a body that never gets to rest and repair, the brain running on suboptimal fuel because it never gets the chance to switch. That's not an edge case. That's not some rare metabolic disorder. That is the default state of most adults eating a standard modern diet. 70, 80, and maybe 90% of the people watching this video right now are operating in some version of this metabolic dysfunction and don't even know it, because it doesn't feel like disease. It feels like normal. It feels like, I'm just tired. It feels like, I guess I'm getting older. It feels like, I must not be trying hard enough. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You don't lack discipline. Your body is responding exactly as it was designed to respond, to an environment it was never, ever built for. You're running ancient survival hardware in a world of 24/7 food access, artificial lighting, chronic stress, and highly engineered, hyper-palatable food products designed by scientists to make you eat more. And that mismatch is silently, gradually degrading your metabolic health every single day you don't give your body a break. All right, there's one more thing that kicks in during an extended fast that honestly deserves its own entire video, but I need to at least introduce it here because it might be the most important piece of the puzzle. Autophagy. The word literally means self-eating in Greek, and it sounds alarming, but it's actually one of the most elegant processes in human biology. Around hour 24 to 48 of fasting, your body begins systematically identifying and breaking down damaged, dysfunctional, and aging cellular components, and recycling them for energy and raw materials. Think of it as your body running a deep clean protocol. It's going through every cell, flagging the broken parts. Senescent cells that have stopped dividing, but are still taking up space and secreting inflammatory signals. Misfolded proteins that can accumulate into neurodegenerative disease, damaged mitochondria that are producing more oxidative stress than energy, and it's either repairing them or breaking them down entirely and using the parts to build something new. This is your body's built-in anti-aging, anti-cancer, anti-neurodegeneration maintenance system. And it won a Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2016 when Yoshinori Osumi's research finally mapped its mechanisms. And here's the devastating question. How often does the average person's body actually get to run this cleanup protocol? The answer, for most people eating 3 meals and 2 snacks a day, drinking caloric beverages between meals, and never going more than 4 to 5 waking hours without eating, is almost never. Autophagy requires sustained low insulin and low amino acid availability. If you're eating every few hours, this process barely initiates before the next meal shuts it down. You're essentially telling your body, don't bother cleaning up, more supplies are incoming, just keep building. Imagine never cleaning your house, never taking out the trash, never fixing a leaky pipe. For years. That's what's happening at a cellular level in most people's bodies, and we wonder why chronic disease rates keep climbing. So let me close the loop on all of this. The 72-hour fast didn't just drop some numbers on a scale. It forced a hormonal reset that would have taken months of conventional dieting. It switched my brain to a cleaner, more efficient fuel source. It triggered deep cellular repair and cleanup that my body hadn't run in who knows how long. And according to actual laboratory blood work, not feelings, not anecdotes, not how my genes fit, it reversed weeks, possibly months of accumulated metabolic damage in 3 days. Now, I am not telling you to go do a 72-hour fast tomorrow, truly. That would be irresponsible of me and potentially dangerous for you, especially if you have any underlying health conditions, are on medication, or have a history of disordered eating. Extended fasting is a powerful tool, and like any powerful tool, it demands respect and preparation. But here's what you can start doing this week, today even, based on the exact same biological principles that made those 72 hours so transformative. First, compress your eating window. Start with a simple 16 to 8 protocol. Eat within an 8-hour window, say noon to 8 p.m., and fast for the remaining 16 hours. This single change drops your baseline insulin significantly compared to the standard 3 meals plus snacks approach. And here's the key. Don't change what you eat yet. Don't try to overhaul your diet and your timing simultaneously. Just change when you eat. Give your body 16 uninterrupted hours of low insulin access to your stored fat every single day. That alone will produce changes you can feel within a week. Second, front-load protein and fat. Backload your carbs. When you break your fast, lead with protein and healthy fats. Eggs, meat, fish, avocado, olive oil. Push your starchy carbohydrates, rice, potatoes, bread, to your last meal of the day. Here's why this matters. Protein and fat trigger a significantly lower insulin response than carbohydrates. So by front-loading them, you extend that fat-burning window even further into the day, and carbs at the end of the day actually work in your favor. They take advantage of the improved insulin sensitivity from your fasting period, and they support serotonin and melatonin production, which means better sleep. Better sleep means lower cortisol. Lower cortisol means less belly fat storage. It's a cascade. Third, once you're comfortable with 16 to 8, and it feels easy, which it will, usually within 2 to 3 weeks. Try 1 full 24-hour fast per month. Dinner to dinner. You eat dinner on Monday, you don't eat again until dinner on Tuesday. You'll be asleep for a third of it. This gets you into the deeper glycogen depletion zone and starts to brush up against the early stages of meaningful autophagy. It's not extreme. It's not punishment. It's literally what your biology was designed for. Your ancestors did this involuntarily on a regular basis, and their metabolic health was dramatically better than ours. Fourth, and this might be the single most important change you make, stop worshiping the scale. Seriously, throw it away or put it in a closet. Instead, measure your waist circumference once a week. That's the most reliable external marker of visceral fat and metabolic health. Track your energy levels at 2 p.m. That's the hour when insulin-resistant people crash the hardest. And if you notice that afternoon wall disappearing, you're on the right track. Pay attention to your mental clarity first thing in the morning before you eat. Notice how you sleep. These are the real biomarkers of metabolic health. The scale is the noisiest, least useful, and most psychologically destructive metric you own. It measures everything: water, food, muscle, bone, inflammation, and tells you nothing specific about any of them. Here's what I keep thinking about, weeks after this experiment ended. We live in the only period in human history where food is available every waking second of every single day, where you can get 2,000 calories delivered to your door in 15 minutes at 2 a.m. without putting on shoes, where entire industries exist to ensure you never experience even a moment of hunger. And somehow, we've convinced ourselves that not eating for a few hours is dangerous, that skipping breakfast is reckless, that hunger is an emergency. The danger was never fasting. The danger was never giving your body the space, the silence, the absence of signal it needs to do what it already knows how to do: burn stored fuel, repair damaged cells, reset hormonal baselines, and run the maintenance protocols that keep you healthy, sharp, and alive. Your body already has the software. You just have to stop interrupting the update.